Chase, you're muted.
Yeah, Coach. Obviously, it was a struggle for most of the game for Brandon Miller. And he didn't have the greatest game against North Carolina either. He's your leading scorer, but yet against two number ones, you're able to overcome a rough night from a super offensive player in both of those games and still rally for the win. What does that say about the depth and the team around him?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of players. Obviously, Brandon's talented. He's really good. He's 6'9" guard that can do a lot. But, you know, for a freshman that's never played college basketball before, you can't expect him to be Superman every night out. So, you know, we've got to get production from lots of guys. And, you know, another freshman, Noah Clowney, had a great start to this game. Like, team's mate decided that they can't sag off him anymore. He's making shots and hitting threes. He was all over the glass. So, lots of guys stepped up at different points, and I think it shows our depth. You know, I was watching our game against them last night, and shoot, that was a tough one. Obviously, at home, you know, we barely got the win, but you know, I was kind of looking at who we were playing and we were really small at points. You know, like 4 smaller guards and Juwan Gary at the 5, and I kind of looked like we just didn't have Charles had fouled out of the game. We didn't have many options this year. We're deeper. It shows. You know, Nick Pringle was great in practice all week, at least at the end of the week. You know, he came in and gave us decent minutes. You know, just Rylan Griffin, who had been struggling a little bit, comes home to Texas, kind of the big game atmosphere doesn't really get to him. He made some tough plays. I thought Noah Gurley, you know, we challenging him to rebound, ends up being our second leading rebounder in 19 minutes, you know, 6 rebounds. So I thought there's plenty of guys that played hard, played well. You know, we got Namari to knock down some threes. We've been seeing him do it in practice. Sears made that huge 3 out of the timeout. You know, we kind of went back to the same play we'd gotten Shaq one late game last year, and Sears nailed that thing. So some guys that struggled through the course of the game stepped up, you know, late when we needed them to. So it shows a lot about them.
James?
Hey, Nate. Double-digit turnovers in the first half. Just what was Houston doing just throughout the night to kind of be a ball pest? And then, in the second half, how did you guys kind of fix and what did you adjust to?
I don't know that we made too many adjustments other than, and we tried to reemphasize to our guys what we've been telling them all week in practice. We tried to simplify it for them. Like, you know, I think they started backing off their trapping in the ball screens when we started handling a little bit better. If we'd have handled it better in the first half, the pressure may have come off. You know, they trap you hard and they put a lot of pressure on your guards to make the right decision. And, you know, sometimes your smaller guards have a hard time seeing over, you know, their size, and they got athletes covering passing lanes. You know, I think of the one turnover Sears had trying to throw it length to the, you know, cross court. I mean, they cover some ground in a hurry. So we tried to simplify it a little bit, you know, get to some different types of actions where we're not tempted to throw some of those passes. And some of it, we just need to take care of the ball. I mean, some of it's back to high school basketball. Like you take care of the ball. You quit traveling. You know, we had 3 travels in the first half. You know, we needed to do some of that too.
Mike?
First question I had is this: it seems like your shirt's a little bit wet again. Did you take another bath after this game in the locker room?
Yeah, they got me. I don't mind if we keep beating number 1 teams. I'll keep, you know, we can take it to the cleaners. Clean, all this stuff can be cleaned pretty well. They got me with some Gatorade instead of just water this game, so I might have to actually take a shower this time.
And then second question I had was Houston only made 1 field goal in the final 5 minutes, only 2 in the final 8 minutes, whole bunch of misses in between. Just what did you think of the defense? You know, obviously being down 15 points, but still holding it together.
Oh, it was great late. I mean, Charlie does an unbelievable job running our defense. He had some good in-game adjustments. I mean, he's been in the NBA for 5 years, so that plenty of in-game adjustments at that level. But he, you know, we kind of went smaller, started trapping their guards a little bit more, you know, and then we went back with Charles late, you know, but I mean, we mixed it up a little bit because it wasn't obviously working great there early in the second half. And so I also just showed our guys, like, we got to get stops, you know. Thought Jaden Bradley was great on Sasser. Namari was great on Sasser. Sears did a good job on D. You know, Clowney had a really good night. So different guys. Rylan Griffin had that steal. I mean, different guys stepped up on the defensive end for us, and I didn't realize that. So they scored 2 field goals the last 8 minutes of the game.
That's right. Yeah, one in the final 5.5 minutes.
Yeah, that's the number 1 team in the country too. So if we can do that too. Now they don't have the number 1 offense, but they're pretty good. I think they were top 20 offensive efficiency. So if we can do that against them, we ought to be able, not that you do it for 8 minutes, but you can get stops against anybody we're playing on the schedule the rest of the year if we really lock in and pay attention to the scouting report and do what we need to do.
Ryan,
Coach, I asked your players what this win means, especially with the number 1 next to their name, and they pretty much said it doesn't matter what the team is, what rank it is, they're going to come out with that killer mentality. Is that the kind of stuff you want to hear? I mean, this is obviously a huge win for your school, for your program, but is that what you need going into SEC play down the road?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it shouldn't matter who we're playing. We should come out with the same kind of mindset. Obviously, it means more when you beat the number 1 team in the country, but we had some big wins last year, and we've talked about this. This current team's talked about this. We can't go to Seattle, beat Gonzaga, come back and lose to Georgia or lose on the road to Missouri or, even the Davidson loss, up in Birmingham. Like we've got to take care of business no matter who it is. So we can't have a letdown Tuesday when we play Memphis. And Memphis is good. I mean, they kind of started us on our skid last year, if you remember. So we've got to have the same mentality, whether it's number 1 team on the road, whether it's whoever it is, at home, neutral, road, like we got to bring it every night. And I thought, for the last 12 minutes of this game, we were really good. There was our defense was pretty good in the first half, kind of kept us in. And I thought it got bad there at the beginning of the second half, but kind of the end of the first half, beginning of the second half. But our defense, if your defense can be as good as what we're trying to tell our guys it needs to be, like you can be in every game. And I think that came true tonight.
last one, Tony.
Yeah, how much maturity have you seen from Jaden Bradley just as the season's gone by? I mean, he's got back-to-back against the number 1 teams, 2 double-digit performances. I think he shot over 50% in both games.
Look, I mean, when we recruited him, he was a highly rated point guard because he's a winner and knows how to play. He's not the best shooter, but he's working hard on it. We're encouraging him to keep shooting. He's not the quickest guy, but he's got enough quickness to get where he needs to get on the court. But he makes winning plays. Defensively, offensively, he's smart, got a high IQ, wants to get his teammates involved. You see him spraying. I mean, we missed some open threes that he got us tonight too, but like he's a winner. Like, and he's showed it. So that's kind of, you see where he's at. How's it going? I don't think the big game affects him. I mean, it might make him better, to be honest with you, if you look at what he's done in some of the bigger games. So super happy for him. He's a great kid. He just kind of, plays with the minutes you give him, and shoot, when we need him to play 25 minutes, he's ready to play 25 minutes. And he was great tonight.
Yeah, and I got one more too, just with Brandon Miller. I mean, what's your message to him? Obviously, he's going to have other big games, other, big moments, but what is your message to him to kind of rebound from? Yeah.
At halftime, I kind of told him, like, we got to do more to affect the game. They're trying to take you out. Like, you can do more than just score the ball. Like, your shot's not dropping. What are you going to do? So like we kind of challenged him defensively. He was much better in the second half defensively. Can you go get an board? Can you get a defensive rebound? So I thought late in the game, he was in there when we were closing that game and making that run, and he got some rebounds, and then he stepped up the free throw line, did it. So he's not going to be, 7 of 9 from 3, 5 of 9. He's not going to shoot that way every night out. Like tonight, he was, 0 of 5 from 3. Well, he'd been at one point, he was at like 50% from 3. So, the teams are going to key on him. I think teams are going to realize it too. If you totally key on him, we got plenty of other players that can beat you. So you got to be careful just keying on him. They were really keying on him. Jaden Bradley gets down the lane, dunks the ball because Jarris Walker's so concerned with guarding Brandon Miller, and he doesn't switch the ball screen or hedge, whatever the plan they were supposed to be in at that point. He just lets him go right down the middle of the lane and dunk the ball. So, we're going to use Brandon as a screener sometimes. We're going to take him off screen. We're going to, and he's great that way. He's going to be playing in the NBA next year, even if he has an 0 for 8 game. Like, his talent level is so high. I mean, he's, obviously we want him to get better, and let's work with him on doing other things to help win the game. But I thought he showed he could do that in the second half.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks.